Okay, so today's going to be episode 2 in my return to my whatever Wednesday format. I did it a couple months ago just for like I'll play or do random stuff that I don't normally have on like a fixed schedule during the week. So I'm trying to think of like what were some of the things I did last time. I played like Unturned for the first time. I played like all kinds of weird stuff that I wouldn't normally do or that I just never hadn't done before. So a lot of it was from the Xbox Game Pass stuff that was like leaving soon that I wouldn't have gotten to as part of my gauntlet format that I was doing there because of how slow that went, or it would have been stuff that was like high on Steam charts. Like I could do Pal World, which is something somebody mentioned the other day that's like a Pokemon ripoff that's like super, super popular. But the point is that last time I did Just Chatting, oddly enough, my first like pure Just Chatting stream probably in years. And so the point is that that went kind of okay, actually. We touched on, it's like, see how long you can last in a Just Chatting category without reacting to either politics or religion. So we touched on both. So we failed that challenge, if you want to look at it that way. But overall, it was pretty fun. And it's like a good example of the associative process. Like you just go from one thing to the next in some sort of segue. So that was kind of cool. So I'll do this for a bit and then I'll do some other category too. This will be a little bit longer of an episode, but this will still be part of the whole whatever Wednesday format. So this is episode 2 of just chatting. Doesn't mean I'll do this every time, but this is kind of what we just did, right? We just sat here and looked at different things, and I'll try to place an emphasis on the 3 things that have been the pillars of my content over the years and all my different things. At one point, I did my debate format. At one point, I did my, I did things to do with psychology of Twitch series. I did, obviously, movie reviews, things like that. Obviously, hard modes, permanents don't really factor in too much here, but, or like even just chess, I could react to like chess news or different storylines going there. Like the Hans Niemann thing was a fucking golden thing for that. Disney director fired Star Wars. So basically, they have the new Rey movie coming out, and so basically, I haven't seen the Disney sequels, but the one thing I'll kind of clown Star Wars fans for, here we go, already into a hot take territory. It doesn't matter whether the Disney sequels are bad or not, because the prequels were said to be bad, right? Certainly they have bad dialogue, obviously the Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace. And so the point is the reaction to the Disney sequels was very similar from fans to the reaction to the prequels. And so it's not a question of which ones are better, like they both have flaws, clearly. I'm taking people's word for it, I guess, on the Disney ones, but in my opinion, obviously the prequels are very flawed. And so the only one that people seem to universally like is Revenge of the Sith. And even that succeeds in spite of the bad dialogue because of the storyboard. The one character that has good dialogue is obviously Palpatine. I always quote that line. If you wish to understand the great mystery, you must study all its aspects. You might think, on what occasion do I really quote that? But I'm always like, I always preach objectivity and stuff. So it's like, you must see past like the dogmatic narrow view of the player base of a game, like, oh, they just want to metagame and speed run and get to the end game. It's like, and I just want to take my time and things like that. So yeah, I'm not sure what the deal with this is going to be. I think Daisy Ridley's a good actress, although she's had a pretty rough time of it. Outside of the Star Wars movies, I think most of what she's been in has just been flops and kind of low-key shit. But no, the point is that Star Wars fans seem to be upset no matter what. So they either have some unrealistic standard, or they just hate everything, or what they're getting is just not very good and they're just acknowledging it. But whatever the case may be, the same way that people shat on the prequels and had a very negative, visceral, immediate reaction to them is the same way that they treated the Disney sequels. It was easy to lose sight of that, and I don't like the reverse feedback loop of like, well, because the sequels are even worse, now we're going to retcon and go back, as if Star Wars needs any more retcons than it already has. Now we're going to go back and say, well, the prequels are actually good, or they're actually better now. So that's so stupid. And of course, the same guy made Rebel Moon, which is like supposed to be some sort of bootleg Star Wars type of thing. Rebel Moon. The one thing I'll say, that there's this little, speaking of psychology, fetishization of, oh shit, it got pretty bad reviews though. Fetishization of certain things in stories. One of the famous ones, I won't show it even, but it's like the Kaa thing, where Kaa in Jungle Book, like whatever, hypnotizes or does whatever to Mowgli. So like that triggers a lot of people in that sense. Not so much that a snake is doing it, right, in that sense, but it's like sort of a, I don't know how to explain it. It's sort of excited a lot of people, or started sort of a fetish for them, let's say. So in a similar sense, some people were saying, oh, it was worth it for the Disney sequels just to see a female do a Jedi mind trick, because that does a little something for them that way, let's just say, like a little power fantasy, whatever the case may be. You'd be surprised how big of a deal that can be, like just simply seeing Rey whatever do it. And that much I at least know about the movies. Actually, I know a lot about them somehow from spoilers and other things. We touched on 2 of the 3 there. What's the other thing? Just, I guess, debate points, like, but even just seeing like how, they just turn on anybody, right? Like this overly defensive, rabid fan base. But like, what if the sequels aren't good? What if the prequels aren't good? What if even the original trilogy isn't that good? Just maybe A New Hope would be the one I'd really vouch for. A lot of people love Empire Strikes Back. In fact, let's use this to see. I would definitely give A New Hope the credit. I've always considered that the best. It's the only one that would routinely appear on my list of best movies of all time. The other ones just wouldn't even appear. Like top 100, top 250, I would do lists like that. And so the point is, I always wonder, where did they get the critics' consensus? Nobody's actually, like, what? This is a fucking 50-year-old movie. How are they going to, get all these random critics? Roger Ebert, like, he's not even here to play his part in this. So who is coming up with this? A legendarily expansive and ambitious sort of sci-fi saga, George Lucas opened our eyes to the possibilities of blockbuster filmmaking, and things have never been the same. Although I wouldn't really compare too many blockbuster films to Star Wars, especially with all the hokey dialogue, and it's just kind of in its own universe, literally. Just it has this weird sort of idea that it's like combining 50 different genres. Seven Samurai, Hidden Fortress, like Kurosawa films, the whole Jedi and that holistic vibe to them, right? Following a code, things like that. So he took clear inspiration from Hidden Fortress and Kurosawa films, and he took inspiration from, I don't know, just like action adventure pictures. Then he took inspiration from obviously science fiction. Like he's combining so many fucking different things, where I could almost say it like, the lightsaber aspect could be its own story and its own movie without all the sci-fi space stuff, or whatever. Like the Force could be its own movie, but like each element could have been its own movie. Like, okay, it's just a movie about space battles with spaceships and stuff like that, but then they throw in, oh no, now it's a sword fighting movie, and now it's also involving the Force, and it's involving all these other things. And what's notable is that, as famous as Darth Vader is, even from, this is the first time you see him, he doesn't actually have that much screen time. I forget exactly how much he has, but how can it be 82? Release date, I guess, without it being in wide. Obviously, people always took issue with the dialogue. One thing I learned not too long ago is that Alec Guinness was actually nominated for an Oscar for this role, which he does a pretty good job, obviously, but I don't know if this is the kind of role that you would be too proud of doing. Right, now people would get nominated for Razzie, so it has more to do with the actor than it does with the role, or with the movie itself. Peter Cushing, that he wore like some slippers or something, all these random factoids I know. Somehow the boots that he wore, that he was supposed to wear, they would always shoot him from like the waist up, so you wouldn't be able to see them because he was actually wearing slippers, because the boots were like super uncomfortable and constrained or something. It's like how the Batman suit, Michael Keaton couldn't turn his head. Like your budget is like $50 million or whatever, right? It's a multi-million-dollar fucking thing, and you can't afford to make a decent suit for the guy. It makes no sense. That like that's the most important thing. There's like one little debate I guess we have had before, where people always say like, oh, who's the villain of each movie, right? So Vader is the villain of A New Hope, and then Vader is the villain of Empire Strikes Back, and then obviously the Emperor is the villain of Return of the Jedi. But actually, clearly, Tarkin is meant to be the villain of A New Hope because he dies at the end. He's kind of the authority figure, even though in retcon and in retrospect people want to prop up Vader because they have such a hard on for, he's the best character ever and he's so badass and this and that. But at least, there's so many lines in there that even suggest that, like, I expected you would be on Tarkin's leash or whatever, or Vader to be on your leash. And Vader doesn't even say anything to that, as Leia's kind of talking some shit. Like, sure, there's a respect between them, and I'm not saying he's subordinate, but it's a case where clearly he's the authority figure. I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at it like that. So, and it's almost like Vader takes over that, not literally that role, but he takes over that certain amount of authority after Tarkin's dead, maybe because the Emperor just doesn't have anybody good enough to go to. So then he just deals directly with him. But and it's almost a way for the Emperor to stick. Okay, I will in a second. To stick it to him, like, I'm giving you this authority figure to watch you and to tell you what to do, and Vader does do what he says, right? So I know it's one of those retcon elements that people would say, well, oh no, Vader's actually more powerful and has more authority. I think from a strictly political sense within the Empire, I think Tarkin is clearly at least a little bit more powerful and respected that way, right? So Vader might be more powerful as a right hand, and obviously in combat, that's not a question. But as far as his military authority and things like that, his stature, I do think Tarkin is shown to be that. So it makes more sense to say Tarkin is the villain of 4, then Vader in 5, then the Emperor in 6, right? So they're all different, and he dies at the end, so it makes it seem like he was the antagonist, not Vader. He was just a second hand, the right hand, things like that. So that's something a lot of people would probably disagree on or mischaracterize a little bit. I seem like I'm obsessed with Star Wars. I end up talking about it in so many different streams, but there's so many funny things to do with it, or it's just become so bloated in a way with like making way too many different series and just too many things. The problem with this is you have to like keep resetting your history, otherwise it'll keep suggesting things related to what you just looked up or whatever. Right, it doesn't have the good sense. It's like you look up one thing and then you'll see a million ads for it later on. Like, oh, my tooth is hurting, and I look up something to do with that, and then all your ads will be fucking dentist, this and that. Like, even in a literal sense, even if ads did work, it's like, how much of that shit do you need? It's like, I have a headache, so it puts an ad for Tylenol. Okay, so I bought the Tylenol. Then you keep showing me ads. It's like, dude, I don't want to overdose on this shit. Like, I already got it. Like, the fucking ad did its job, but now they just spam you with that shit. It's one thing if it's like food or something. Okay, go get this. Go to KFC or something. Go to Burger King, right? That's something you can do repeatedly over and over, theoretically. But, without fucking getting sick and dying, like that one movie that was like, I can't remember the name, where the guy eats only McDonald's for like a month and he gets sick or whatever. But the point is that Costco February 2023 coupon book. Farmers Insurance Open PGA. Is that like a golf tournament hosted by them? Yeah, what is that thing that always hosts these chess tournaments, like Tata Steel? Like you always have to wonder, like, what incentive do they have to do with chess? Like, why the fuck would a steel company care about that? And why would it be worth their time? UK steel industry confronts a cold hard truth. Will there be vengeance? Of course, Sting kind of is a bit of a choker, so I've made that prediction pretty strongly. I was kind of half right with my prediction the last time that he would choke, and then the second one was that he would lose because he choked, as if it would stand to reason that at such a high level, if you choke, that wouldn't cause you to lose, but I guess not. But basically, he Nepo, that was a hilarious line. Nepo saw Ding's performance, and he mistook. And he thought that WCC stood for World Choking Championship instead of World Chess Championship because of how much he was choking throughout the thing. So he tried to adjust his style of play to match. So basically, the point is that he won't defend his title at all, no matter who he plays, because he's just not psychologically resilient enough. Which I know, that's easy to say, but it's like when people talk about athletes, like, LeBron James choked in the 2011 NBA Finals or something like that. Like, it's always a fair thing because it's a high level thing. We expect that you're good at it. Or that's one of the biggest fallacies that people will bring up. Like, somebody will criticize like an athlete, right? Like one of these Skip Bayless or one of these talk show hosts, right? Regardless of he's a bit of a clown at times, sure. But the point is that they'll bring up some of these fallacious standards like, oh, well, you were never an athlete or you never played. But that's such a bogus, invalid thing. You're obviously holding somebody to a high standard based on the fact that they do play and comparing them to other people or something else, right? So sure, sometimes what these people might say might feel out of bounds, but it's such a weak thing to say, oh, well, you didn't play, therefore your opinion's invalid. Because then you think about it at a higher level. Okay, let's say you did play, but oh, you were just a role player, so your opinion's invalid. Or oh, you were just a star, but not a superstar. Or oh, you were just a superstar, but you didn't win a ring. Or oh, you were, like there's always a way to discredit you, so that's not really fair, right? You should attack the idea, not the or the claim, not the person making it, because you can never win that. It's like the same thing with film critics. Oh, you try to make a better movie then if you criticize something, or you've never made any movies, so who are you to say that? But it's like you don't have to do that to say, that's such a nonsense way to look at it. You're judging the movie itself on its own terms compared to other movies, compared to other filmmakers, everything like that. It shouldn't seem so strange to. Sure, it gives you a certain credibility if you are like a retired filmmaker and then you want to become a critic. Sure, that boosts your whole thing, but it doesn't mean that you have to do that. Superman Christopher Reeves documentary. The one thing I won't do as part of these just chatting things is like actually watch videos or anything. Or I guess I could watch my own for what that's worth. Like, there was one that I was just talking about. Actually, I forgot. Layoffs 2024, NBA trades. A couple of things did happen there. Like, Doc Rivers got hired by the Bucks, and whoever the other coach, I don't even know his name, got fired. So I don't like these knee-jerk things where they fire somebody, but then it's like they don't like the coach they have, so they fire them. It's like, okay, maybe that's fine, but then they have to go searching for these same coaches over and over who are always in limbo, right? Who get rotated and thrown around to every team in the league. So it's like it's Doc Rivers again for the millionth time. Although Doc made a pretty good point about the whole choking 3-1 leads, at least as far as the Orlando series. He was down, he was up 3-1 against Detroit, right? The year they won the title, I think. And so he's an 8 seed up 3-1 on the eventual champion that year. So like that's a good accomplishment. If they got swept, you wouldn't say anything. You wouldn't bring that up because you'd be like, okay, they got swept like every 8 seed does, or that's pretty commonplace. But now because he went up 3-1 and overachieved, now that's held against him like, oh, you choked away a 3-1 lead, as if you were supposed to win that in the first place. It's like when Kobe choked away the 3-1 against Phoenix, but they were the 7 seed, the Lakers, versus the 2 seed. So it's like, you're overachieving by being up 3-1. Sure, you should still be able to finish it off, but it's only because of your brilliance that you're up that much in the first place. G4s, I went on a whole spiel about my computers last time. Disney director fired. Brendan Kavanaugh Chinese piano. Or like, what other ones did I... How else do you look at this? I looked up like certain searches by popularity. Trending news, I don't know, or it doesn't even have to be news, just like trending anything, trending topics. This is kind of a weird thing for me to do that I never really did before, or I would do it kind of maybe a little more structured. Republican primary, everybody's losing their shit about Trump. I think I talked about that enough last time though. Like, if you don't like him, don't vote for him, but don't do the same mistake that people did last time where you just mindlessly vote for Biden or a Democrat. At least vote for an independent then. So if all 81 million people last time, let's say, right, who voted for Biden, instead if they voted for Joe Jorgensen or an independent, you still get what you want, that the big bad Trump guy isn't there. But you also don't get stuck with the clown that you currently have. This is like a default thing. Oh yeah, let's look through 2023 trends. War in Israel and Gaza, which is kind of impressive because that was not... that was not there at the beginning. DeMar Hamlin, Jeremy Renner, Travis Kelce, why not Taylor Swift, Tucker Carlson. See, like, all these people get sort of turned into memes or some sort of a buzzword, like Bill O'Reilly or somebody, where it's like, it's always like you shoot the messenger, right? Like, the guy, regardless of whatever he says or anything, it's like, I don't know what people want with it sometimes. It's like, sure, he's biased, sure, he's probably said some stupid things, but why do people get so mad about that? Like, oh, he should be fired, or oh, I don't get it. Or like, my way of looking at that is like, let's say, okay, it's somebody who's a clown who I don't, a lot of these are overlapping. Pedro Pascal from The Last of Us is the only thing I really know him for now. The Menu Explained, I've never seen. I don't even know what it's about. I mean, presumably it's about a restaurant and eating food or something, but I don't really know. Anya Taylor-Joy is obviously super on everybody's list here. Barbie actually disappointed me. I did see that, and it was not very impressive. It just kind of plays it too whimsically. Like, everything is just random, and they just do whatever they want. Sound of Freedom was some sort of political statement thing that people were trying to make. Like, oh, it was trying to be censored and then people saw it anyway. Guardians of the Galaxy, Folding chair. Like, what the fuck? Kevin James, Ohio. I love that. Yeah, just like, what if somebody's actually just looking up Ohio, period? I love how Google even considers that. You can't legitimately, like, I'm going to Ohio on vacation. Nobody ever says that. Like how Joakim Noah says it about Cleveland. I've never heard of anybody going to Ohio on vacation. But yeah, just simply looking up the name of the state must be with a meme intention. Grimace Shake was some random thing that McDonald's did. Oh my god, dude. The Last of Us TV show. Wednesday, obviously, everybody loves Jenna Ortega. I think they're coming out with the Pirate 6 now, finally. Ice Spice. I don't know. I saw some clips related to XQC or somebody trying to send her a DM and whatever, asking her out or something. This is the state of what people do. Google Maps, Central Park, Red Rocks Park and Amphitheater, Bryant Park, New York, everything in fucking New York. Look at that. 3 out of 5. And then 2 in Colorado. How is that possible? New York, New Jersey, New York. Wow, it dominates. New York, Washington, D.C., Kentucky, California. Yeah, let's see what other... Nothing here is really all that interesting. Matthew Perry obviously passed away. And Tina Turner, Jerry Springer, Jimmy Buffett. You know, the whole thing he said that pissed everybody off, so people came back with that line like, but Keanu Reeves still walks among us, like after he died. But even though Matthew Perry passed away, Keanu Reeves still walks among us, just because they were so mad that he said that. Whatever. Whenever Heath Ledger died or somebody else died, River Phoenix, why do they have to die, but Keanu Reeves still walks among us? It's just such a random thing. That would be the first thing that comes to your mind. Carrie Lake, everybody was getting pissed about her too. I don't even know who beat her. Katie Hobbs or something in Arizona. Lakers, everybody losing their shit. The Clippers look pretty good though. I love how many years you could make that same prediction, like, oh, the Clippers are gonna win if they're healthy, but they're never fucking healthy. So at some point, it is kind of your fault for doing that. Like, you should just expect that they won't be. You know, a lot of people shit on the Lakers now, but it's like they still did win the one title, so I have to give them some respect in the bubble, which I didn't predict that they would win even that. So I would say, fuck's sake, or yeah, people are going to be rooting against whatever the Chiefs because they don't like Taylor Swift or whatever. Too many things to do with sports and stuff. Joe Barry, Carrie Lake, after seeing bribed Senate hopeful Carrie Lake not to run. Senate hopeful Carrie Lake not to run. Arizona GOP chair resigns. Surreptitiously recorded conversation seemingly trying to bribe Carrie Lake to stay out of the U.S. Senate race. Why? Because it would be too much media coverage or something? Let's see. Real-time search trends. FC Barcelona. Like, just looking at this, you would think all that people give a shit about is sports. Sports and music. Folly, favoritism. Fucking give me some Stimuli Acme stuff over here at least. Explore. I don't know. I feel like it was more interesting last time a little bit. I gotta find some other way to... Temu is that fucking thing I keep seeing ads for. Chat GPT I tried to do. Or maybe that was kind of like a just chatting stream, I guess, when I tried that for the first time. So maybe I'm not being honest by saying, oh, I hadn't done one in years. But for all intents and purposes, I haven't seen any of the movies really that would be considered for best picture. So I can't really even say that, though. I don't really watch movies as much now. I don't have enough time. Right? Certainly not in theaters. But anything new I haven't really kept up with. Or that's kind of how it's treated now. Like, something could just come out and then it'll already be, you know, you can just stream it like right away or within a... There was some movie like that, I can't remember, that you could like see it on a streaming service like a week after it came out or something, or like immediately. So like, who would even bother seeing it in theaters then? If you just have like a good setup, whatever, just have a big TV at your place. Why do you even need that? What other things now? I look up trending things, so now it shows me all these suggested things that are just trending. It's not showing me what is trending. It's telling me to look up what's trending. Trades. I don't know. What else did I even do last time? These aren't really as interesting. Just like, you could literally look up like just random words. Random word generator. Or what if it's something, it's going to be TOS and get me banned? Number of word, all first letter, or could it be like censored from generate random words? Budge. Influence. Smash. Let's look at something to do with Super Smash Brothers. When are they coming out with the next one? Because I forget even when the last one came out, but like 2018 maybe. Ultimate next game. I don't know how often they really plan to do that. Next Smash game is Lightning Strike and Pea Shooter will join the battle. What, Pea Shooter from fucking PVZ? What kind of random thing is that? 1999, 2008. Or wait, I mean 2001. 6 years, 4 years, 6 years. Wait. Oh, they're just estimating that it would be 2024. Yeah, hopefully it won't take as long as fucking GTA and stuff like that, where it goes from like, 4 years from San Andreas to 4, and then 5 years from 4 to 5, and then 10 years from 5 to 6, or over 10 years now. Same thing with like Skyrim, they make Oblivion in 2006, and then they make Skyrim in 2011, and now it's going to be like literally 14 years before they make it. Probably 24, 25. Let's see. Gonna have like more of a clear itinerary, because like otherwise we just end up doing random things like this. Like maybe I will look through my own. I could look through my own videos on like my own channel, or I could look through them on my friend's channel, where it's like these sometimes are good for giving you ideas. Like, let's see. Or you have to always look at it through something else. This is what I did last time too. There was something specifically that I mentioned at the beginning, and now I can't remember what it was. Some of these haven't gotten too many views, but these are just like random shitpost movie clips that he did, like many of which I came up with the idea for myself. I think this one I definitely came up with the idea for. Just like little one-off stupid things. Like, what is an interesting subject that I discussed? This at least has some funny lines in there. I'm surprised this didn't get more, actually. Oh, you can't even hear that, can you? I guess it's fair enough to play my own shit, like, if you... Oh, yeah, too. It was actually a note from Rapport that said, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, like 50 times going down. 22 minutes left. Or what were some of the good ones that I can remember off the top of my head? Like, to choke is only human. Rapport to Ding chilling. And then it's like, Ding responds back, yeah, you said that like the first 4 times. Or actually, I think I saw something the other day that they announced that PVZ 3 is actually coming out after a very long time. And at one point I saw something on my phone for it, like many years back, that was like some sort of beta test that you could do for it, but you had to be in like only certain countries, so it wouldn't work. Or people were so dedicated to seeing that they said like, oh, we're going to somehow use like a VPN and make it seem like we're in those regions just so that we can enter into that. This is the whole choking thing. It's so stupid. Not the World Chess Championship, the World Choking Championship. That one I looked at. This might actually be the best idea, because it'll just open up other tangents that we could potentially talk about. Biggest choker in chess, also the world champion, so I guess I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. This is the whole thing with Hikaru being salty about not winning the world championship. These are like a lot of my old formats. Like, that's me talking about the original Diablo that I played there. Han's cheating, which again was never proven over the board, so that's like one of those character assassination type things, like, oh, because he cheated online or because something else, right? We're going to use that to color the whole thing and say, oh, he's just a cheater and we're going to character assassinate, even though that has nothing to do with, the exact accusation itself. That's like saying you bring somebody to a court of law and accuse them of a crime, and your argument, which this is usually inadmissible, right? Using a character attack argument, it's like, well, they committed crimes before, so therefore they did this one. That has nothing to do with it, though, right? That creates maybe the intent or the, some sort of a likelihood, but it doesn't have anything to do with whether they were actually there or did whatever it is you're accusing them of. It's just the most random shit. That's one of mine. Like, how do some of these get so many views? I don't get it. Like that's his most viewed video. It's like 500,000 or no, 600 something thousand. And just the guy like looks constipated or something. I don't get, this is how you define stuff. Lay Samurai, that's one of my movie related things. This is kind of a silly one where he put some other, I don't even know how to describe it, some BBC parody thing. Look at that thumbnail, dude. That's even worse than mine. Luigi's Mansion Super Hard Mode. That was a pretty fun playthrough. In fact, it was so fun. It was the first thing I did coming back in 2021, and I liked it so much that I ended up actually a lot of things to do with XQC. I ended up doing like, I just did that as a one-off thing. I wasn't sure that I was coming back to streaming for good, but I liked it so much that it basically made me a streamer again. Those first two were so fun. I did Super Hard Mode, and then I did Paper Mario Hard Mode. Let's actually, recap on what I've done here. Not that I've uploaded everything that would indicate that, but basically, from here, Hassan's Gambling Take, that's interesting. That would be my first one. Something to do with BC, so that shows you that was around when BC Classic was there. This was like before I even started streaming, I think. But like, if you look at the date, this is October 2021 I came back, so I was just doing this as a fucking random thing. This was obviously part of one of those gameplay sessions that I did. That mirror room was a pain in the ass. We start off, we do Luigi's Mansion Super Hard Mode. Then we do Paper Mario Hard Mode, which isn't reflected by this, because it took me so long to actually get to upload them. Dark Souls 2 obviously was a series I did at the beginning of 2022. But this I did do at the end of 21, I think. A little bit of 2K shit. And this one got way more views than I would have thought. Just telling people how to pause, universal pause button, which I'm sure there's better ways to do it now. Doki Doki was something I really didn't like at all. It's kind of, I guess, spoilers if you haven't played it, but it was so much text and so much reading and so much time wasting just for like a little gimmick or a twist right later on at the end, and it's like, so it's just not even worth it, even if it was that interesting. And Monica at the end there just drives me crazy. Didn't I have like a second part for that too? Yeah, it even says part 1. Oh, here it is. This is like you're just sitting there talking shit to her the whole time and waiting for every reaction that you can get, right? Like reading 100% of her dialogue, or at least until it repeats. Don't Starve, obviously one of my favorite games ever. Doom Nightmare Mode, one of the ones I left hanging because it was way too hard with the respawns and stuff. That mechanic is so fucking troll. It's one thing for the game to just be hard and the damage values to be high and the enemies to have a lot of health, but it's the fact that, like, what does this one even say? This was me not understanding even how YouTube thumbnails work. Like, it's probably funny whatever I wrote there, but you can't even fucking read it. Will our hero get hit? Because he's like shooting a bullet at me. Will he survive? Find out on this exciting episode of a first-time Doom Classic player takes on Nightmare Mode for no reason other than to torture himself and to make it more fun. This is Don't Starve. Just whatever random things. Tier list for Phoenix Wright. Yeah, that's actually a good thing to look up. When is Ace Attorney 7 coming out? Ace Attorney Trilogy. Or yeah, this is something I objected to. They're calling it Apollo Justice the Ace Attorney Trilogy. Now, how the fuck is it your trilogy named after you if you're not even the main character in it? Because in Apollo Justice, the main character is still Phoenix Wright, even though you play as Apollo. Even that one I'll give to you. Okay, Apollo Justice is the one true Apollo game because you play as him. Then in Dual Destinies, you only do like a case as him, right? You do case 1 as Phoenix, you do case 2 as Apollo and like Athena working together. Then you do case 3 as Athena. Then you do case 4 and 5 kind of as a mix of everybody. And so it's not like he's the main character in Dual Destinies at all. And then even Spirit of Justice, I wasn't expecting that. You could say, oh, based on the name, but that is a bit of a troll. Like it could, like Justice for All didn't have to do with him. The franchise is not stopping anytime soon, but it definitely needs to take a look in the mirror because it's definitely... It definitely has some issues with, like, you need more wrenching plot points and stuff like that. Like how even Aviary Attorney had a better sense of that. Kind of like a dynamic nature, even though I didn't fully understand it because I lost my first playthrough permanent thing in there. But just the fact that you were able to for reasons other than simply being wrong in court. Right, like I came so close to actually losing there in some of the days in court just for getting like questions wrong and things like that. And the way they even do the jury system is interesting. Like it is a very good game. That's like much more fresh than whatever the stale Ace Attorneys doing the same things over and over, despite how much I like the series. The Rubicante thumbnail is kind of good. Kind of trying to see what other interesting things there are. I did a first playthrough permanent of a lot of these GTA games. That was kind of fun, even though they ended in very disappointing ways. I like some of the quotes I had for my Dark Souls 2 playthrough, like, a soul of fire never dims for its kindle as will, or whatever. Like, there were certain RP things that I did with that. That's almost the right way to do RP. Like, it's born of you beating your head against the wall in a hard mode, doing the same thing over and over, right? Or, like, even in a permadeath, like, you feel so, like, your life is on the line, so you come up with something poetic or dramatic to describe the insane experience that you're going through. This is all to do with Luigi's Mansion. Just get a generator. That's how you solve it. If all the lights are off in the mansion. Let's see. This is kind of a funny thumbnail just to show that it always shows it like as a GIF here rather than actually the image of the thumbnail. Basically just to show that that one room has as much fucking health as the entire mansion like in the original game because everything has 200 health in this one. And because there's 5 of them. Luigi's vacuum turns slower than a planet, which doesn't exactly make the point maybe that you would think about. Like moving 6 miles an hour is still pretty good, but you know, it's just to try to equate it to something super slow. Previously, the slowest rotating object in the entire solar system. Some of these titles were pretty funny too. Blunt Client Andy loses to literal crayons because I'm sitting there for so long and my leg was starting to hurt and stuff. So just attempting the same boss over and over. And then there's another one like that for Paper Mario where it's like masochist Mario loses to Legos, right? Like in the fucking Shy Guys toy box. And then this is where it bugs out to try to stop me from claiming my victory on Van Gogh. And then I sit there and suck a boo for like an hour to be able to get through it. This was the whole NBA thing. Basically, yes, Jason Kidd especially is overrated. I'm not a big fan of one-dimensional players like how Dirk at least is. You know, he can just score and he could just mainly shoot and he can't do anything else. And that's at least a fair way to look at it, despite how good he might still be without that. Novel AI, and then I did Chat GPT at some point, and the first thing I asked to Chat GPT, this amazing omnipotent fucking AI that you could do, is I asked him the Bill O'Reilly thing. What was it? Tide goes in, tide goes out. You can't explain that. Or I didn't even ask it. I guess I just stated that. Now this prediction was right for the Warriors, right? I said it was Heat versus Warriors, but it was Celtics versus Warriors, right? They won in the game 7. That was like before. This is almost like 2 years ago. Then that means, even though it says 1 year, right? Because that wouldn't have been last year's, where it's obviously fucking Heat versus Nuggets. And that's why you could kind of poke a little hole in the Nuggets thing, because you could say, well, yes, they won and they're a good team and everything, but they went against a 7 seed in the conference finals, and then they went against an 8 seed in the finals. That was very unusual. Now you might say, well, how did they get there? They must be good enough to do that. But it's the difference of like facing those teams that are still good enough. Sure, the Heat beat the Celtics and the whatever, not even because of injuries. And then the Lakers beat the Warriors, who were the defending champs. But the problem with that is still, it's not like you're facing one of the all-time great teams like, the Warriors with Kevin Durant or some crazy thing like that, the Heat Big Three. You were just facing like good teams, but not the standard that you would normally see. The creator of The Thinker, Larry Butts. This is that one I always refer to. This didn't actually get that many views, but how fitting, because people kept complaining about it. But I sat there for like the whole episode, my first time playing The Witcher, just reading all the flavor text because there was such an insane amount to begin with, and I didn't actually play the game at all. That's one of my most used sort of things in reference, or that represents my whole ideology about a lot of things, is like, just do such and such. So for example, like, oh, just mitigate the damage, or there's so many instances where I say stuff like that. The Fume Knight with only one healing node removed was kind of crazy. Yeah, this is when I started uploading Paper Mario, but this must have been long after I actually did the series, right? Like, I wasn't too into doing the YouTube thing, and then I just started to turn it out. Like, what percentage, I wonder, of having streamed every single day for a while there, for like 6 to 8 hours too, and then more recently it's been less, but I went from like 6 to 8 hours a day every single day, obviously the whole time, to like, okay, 3 to 4 hours, then from 3 to 4 to like 1 hour now, because I just haven't had as much time. But what percentage of stuff that I've done have I uploaded? And probably it's like only like 10 to 20%, maybe not even that, because there's so much. There's a lot of empty calorie stuff, like just a lot of me playing chess over and over, or dumb stuff like that. There's the one, Masochist Mario loses to Legos. This is a reference on the Spider-Man thing, if you can even see that. Misery, 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 that's what you've chosen when the Green Goblin says that, so that's your only choice. San Andreas there. I have a lot of these, like the most dedicated sort of trope, the most dedicated firefighter, where he hits somebody trying to clean up their car or whatever. He just drives off like the fucking inner pass or whatever. And then we had that from GTA 3. What ended my run there was like the most dedicated criminal in Liberty City, where he drives me off the fucking road into the water and goes along with me. Greatest unpunished crime, because obviously Regina fucks over Acro's brother, so then what do you call it? It's not even like, oh, I'm doing this haha to, I just don't even have any ideas for what to fucking do. Danganronpa obviously has an amazingly popular community or something. There was one Danganronpa clip. See, almost all of my most viewed clips are Danganronpa related, right? This one has 52k, this has 30k, even this has 1.5, this has 2.3, 42. So there was one that I posted probably before, right, to do with Kyoko. Yeah, here. And this one hardly got any views at all. That's kind of interesting. So was it because I did like a different thumbnail, or was it, or not even thumbnail, like different tags, or like, why would those be so insane? She's going to always have the next step of what to do magically. She's always going to be on top of it because she's the one. It's that line. I don't look at people, I see through them. Yeah, that's one of my old RP lines. I don't look at people, I see through them. I forget exactly what context I used it in, but it was in like some short story type of thing or something. Let's see, what else could we react to? It's kind of pointless even looking at YouTube, because PS5 update. Yeah, I've kind of was a little more enthusiastic about doing this the last time. I don't really know what even to react to now. Maybe I'll just play fucking chess as my next category. Yeah, the point is, with this format, I can just do kind of whatever I want. I could play some kind of random games as a one-off thing. One of my viewers keeps suggesting War Thunder again, but I'll still do it in some sort of permadeath context. Even if I'm not doing it as a committed series, it's like every vehicle has one life or something. What else could I have done? I could do Season of Discovery. I kind of started that series, but I don't really feel like I would enjoy that unless I have a lot of time. So I almost don't even care. Right, like I'm sometimes like that. You could call it like obsessive personality or something. Like either I want to do something like all the time or a lot, or I don't want to do it at all. I don't like doing it halfway. Kind of like with streaming, at least if I do it every day. But even then that doesn't work because it's not like, it's not actually long enough then still. Palworld PS5. Yeah, that's going to be, everybody's fucking going crazy about that. But I think I'll save it for Saturday. Right, I'll just use that as my little flex format. That seems more fitting. So today I could do almost anything, but I just don't know what to do. Let's look at trending topics. January 2024. TikTok ads, probably just everybody complaining about them. They must have added some new feature. Sustainable aviation fuel. Ank earbuds, Gorilla Mind. I don't even know what some of this stuff is. Paddle Racket, Bright Wheel. Bright Wheel is like some sort of education platform, I think. 270% growth. What the fuck? Discoloration. What this shit is? Psychological safety. What does that mean? Just like, I'm a psychology expert, by the way, but why is that trending in this specific way? Just show me that stupid pyramid. Challenger, contributor, learner, inclusion. Feeling like you belong, you are accepted, you are respected by your team. Feeling comfortable making mistakes without fear of punishment or judgment. Feeling valued for, but see, that learner one is invalid, is an absolutist perspective. You would always have that of yourself, but it wouldn't be in a superficial way, like, oh, it's not about punishment or judgment. It's about like, you fucked up and that you're a clown. You would hold yourself to a higher standard. So that might seem like an elitist victim blamer mentality, but that's kind of where I got the nickname. Feeling valued for your contributions and being able to share your ideas without fear. But see, it's fear of what? Is it fear of just being ridiculed for no reason, or is it fear of meritocracy? Like you have a dumb idea, therefore it's not being considered. There's nothing to fear. It's just an acknowledgement that it's not good. Feeling comfortable challenging the status quo and speaking up, which is, this is interesting even to look at on like a political level. Like you want to feel like you can do that, right? So if you say you're in like a free society, so you can question the government and criticize the government or something like that. Right, that's a good sign of it. That old expression, like when you see who you can't criticize, then you know who really holds the power. Zero trust. A lot of this stuff isn't really all that interesting though. Pickleball shoes. Yeah, look how many of these things are related to consumerism, like somebody buying something or something dumb like that. What, they have like an article written for fucking each of these? Probably just like the top 10. There are a few big picture patterns in the list. Many of the trends, cold water, postbiotics, are related to natural health, and many others are tech. Yeah, you're just describing what they are. Amazing. Some of them are psychology focused. Like, that doesn't tell me anything, though. Why? Why is this one more prevalent than the actual official Steam charts? Like, what's better about that? 30 million peak online, 21 million now. Palworld is fucking going nuts. How much even is it? Very positive. $26.99 is a little expensive for a fucking Pokemon clone over here. Palworld number 1. And that's because it just came out. So there was some kind of article written like, oh, maybe they're afraid that they're going to be taken down somehow by Nintendo. But I don't think there's any such merit there. Probably. Like, you can be inspired by it. You can kind of rip off of it a little bit. It's sort of hard to determine that that's actually going to be outright copied. It's just, there's plenty of imitation type of things there. Percy Jackson episode 7 Hades. Wendy breakfast burrito. This is so fucking random, man. Or where is that, like that I'm feeling lucky thing? I'm feeling lucky Google. Why would you have to do it as an extension? Oh, you just have to go like that. I'm feeling playful. I'm feeling hungry. I'm feeling artistic. In this pastel, Degas revisited. You could do this as like a fucking ASMR thing, just like read random articles and stuff. I don't know. I'm feeling what? I don't even know what it said there. Feeling hungry. Oh, stellar. I'm feeling trendy. That's what I was trying to do, but nothing was really all that interesting here. At least last time we had somebody come in and fucking talking about the Constitution and trying to get Trump on something. That was always something I would do. Two things in my debate format that I would do that are kind of just good overall barometers of something. On one hand, I would be, first of all, I wouldn't participate in a lot of them. I would just kind of be an overseer or like a judge or something, like the moderator. So on one hand, I enjoy doing that. But it's like I was always known for being objective, at least in the sense that like I could make a case for something that I don't even believe in or think myself, right? Just playing devil's advocate or something like that. That can be a very powerful thing to do. It's like even if you don't think something at all, you can still make a case for it, or you can kind of play the middle ground. You don't have to be hard stuck on one side, right? And then try to do like some sort of mental gymnastics to justify your position to avert all the cognitive dissonance associated with it. It doesn't have to be like a hard commit like that. And then on the flip side, so that's the objectivity thing. And then the other thing is just I think I forgot what I was even saying. It's like I don't know. Like whenever it's like cutting down on redundancy, right? Like an absolutist principle here again. The idea that like I had like an expression for it. I can't remember. Like absolutists would tolerate they're okay. You believe in like the long form postulate, which means you're willing to have discussions to their conclusion, so you don't have any of these quick little quips. Like there'd be this one liner, you see this on Twitter or YouTube and things like this, not just because of the character limit, but because of people's mental state being like very lowest common denominator and like going for like the little hot buzzword. Like they say the one liner thing, like that's it. That's the tweet. Haha. Like I'm really saying that. But if you follow a course to its logical conclusion, you'll see that there's a lot more to it than just that one little sense of finality that people want to give to something. And beyond that, you have a case where it's like, you're giving it. I can't remember. Fuck, how did I say it? Like despite the fact that you would practice the long form postulate and want to have conversations in that manner, where you have them to their end and thoroughly and all the way through, right? That's why people even mischaracterize that. They'll think, oh, you just don't want to admit you're wrong, or you keep having. I did that on my Path of Exile video, like where I'm just responding to everything and having the conversation all the way. But it's not a right or wrong issue where it's false duality, like oh, one person is just absolutely right and one is absolutely wrong. It could just be two different perspectives. So it's like an anti-redundancy thing, right? You believe in the long-form postulate, not redundancy, which means you do want to have the conversation out to its conclusion, right? As long as you can. But you also, it's like when a point is made, you kind of just acknowledge it as like a firm position. So if somebody keeps saying the same thing over and over, you have to know when to just we get the point, right? It's not even whether you're wrong or not. We get your position, right? It's kind of like it's noted for the record, like in a court of law. That's why they always say that, right? It's noted, we have it in the record, and we'll just move on. So it doesn't even mean you're right or wrong. It just means, you don't have to keep making that same case over and over from different angles. eBay layoffs. Or I love this standard of like, whether it be Twitter or something like that, where people talk about, oh, should certain things be removed? From a certain point of view, nothing should ever be removed, because what you can always do is the other side, right? I'm sure other people have talked about this a lot, but like content moderation, not from the perspective of, oh, the site has to remove it, but you can have certain controls on. So you can see like, okay, I don't want to see anything profane or vulgar. So you can have like a filter on for that. I also don't want to see anything, I can block people, right? So for example, oh, somebody's sending me mean messages on Twitter, so I could just block them. So rather than the site blocking them or banning them, you as the user have the ability to do that. So that's the whole beauty of it, is like first of all, nobody can force you to use the site. You could just say, I don't want to use anything, and just, be like me. Like I don't use Twitter, Facebook, anything like that. But then even if you do use it, right, this is like the whole Big Brother Orwellian aspect that you want them to take care of it for you. Like, oh, we don't want this mean guy saying mean stuff on our platform, so let's get rid of him. Instead of, I don't want to deal with him, so I'm just going to either ignore him or block him or just not read his post or not associated with him or use a filter that blocks him out. There's so many things you can do. And it's sort of like this first world spoiled sort of problem that's like, oh, boo hoo, he sent me a mean message on a digital platform in a text mess in the form of text. It's like you could easily just delete it, ignore it, don't read it, block him. There's so many options you have, but it's like, oh no, it's the end of the world and you gotta bitch at the site and get them to ban it. Like, that shouldn't be something that they really have to do. So whenever you give that control to the user to do it, then it's up to you what you want to do. The only scenario where maybe you could argue that's not adequate is like if you're getting spammed by people, like you're a celebrity or you're somebody who's momentarily famous for some event that happened and everybody's shitting all over you for something. And so, you won't be able to keep up with blocking every single person that messages you. But even then you could say, okay, I'm going to block everybody who I don't know, or, every message requires approval or something like that. So you see all these like news websites on, or whatever, these news channels on YouTube, and they post like a poll or something, or some article, and then the comments are disabled. So that's always a troubling sign. Or even on Twitter, it's like, oh, only people who are following this person or who they follow can respond to their message. Like, why should you need to do that when you have a simple concept like social Darwinism? Like, how do you talk around that where whatever is, if what they're saying isn't logical or right, then it's not going to get outvoted or it's not going to matter, right? That should speak for itself. So there's all this stuff that's happened in the modern era that's very disturbing because people sort of have lost the value of what, let's just say, free speech or something like that is meant to be about, is that social Darwinism should decide. So it's like you feel so strongly that something is wrong or incorrect or whatever, so therefore you feel it should be removed, not that, oh, it's wrong, therefore people will see it's wrong and I'll make a case for why it's wrong or something like that. And so that'll naturally be the conclusion that people come to. It's like people aren't smart enough to make that decision for themselves to come to the obvious conclusion that you believe is right and that you take for granted. And so therefore they need to be like herded like sheep where you have to do it for them, right? The site has to do it for them because it's too dangerous to let them think for themselves and let them make their own opinion or decide for themselves. So instead you have to make sure that you do it for them so they can't be exposed to some undesirable, unacceptable information. That's the kind of mindset that you have to have, which is completely nonsensical because then you're usurping their judgment. Maybe they wouldn't come to the same conclusion, or it might be slightly different or whatever. So that's the whole problem with all those kind of things, like where you can't comment or they restrict that somehow. It's like this whole sort of safe space idea that everything is, beyond reproach. You're not allowed to criticize or say anything that's not approved. So then whatever's being said isn't meaningful in the first place because it's just this insular sort of regurgitative thing where like only what they want to be there will be there. So it doesn't mean anything. Right? It's like you watch certain things. You want to hear pro-right stuff or pro-Republican stuff, so you'll watch Fox News. Or you want to see pro-left stuff, so you'll watch CNN. Like, you're only exposing yourself to sort of confirmation bias sort of things anyway. You already know what you're going to get, but that's all you want to hear. Or some people always like doing the opposite. They'll do it just to get outraged and like, oh, let's ridicule this person because we already disagree with them. So that's like the old reinforcement through externality thing where, you're insecure in your own view, so you have to go and attack any other view or ridicule it, and therefore it reinforces your view by contrast rather than just regurgitation. Like anybody who doesn't share your view becomes sort of a target that way. Instead of, if you're actually comfortable with what you believe in or something like that, you wouldn't seek that out. You would feel fine with that and you wouldn't care. Right, if people have other views or something like that. So let's see what else. Very funny, Phoebe Buffay, who she won like the most number of Oscars, or not Oscars, Emmys for her role. I think I sort of had a very different opinion. When I was younger and I saw these characters, I didn't like Phoebe or Kramer. I'll compare those two. from Seinfeld at all. And then I think over time I learned to appreciate like how hard it is for Michael Richards Kramer to do what he did. He was by far the best actor on there. I always felt that obviously Julia Dreyfus was really good too. Obviously Jerry would be the worst because he's not really even an actor at all. And Jason Alexander was very good, but no, I feel like what Kramer is doing is so difficult. You kind of just take it for granted that, oh, he's just this annoying kind of obnoxious character that's like almost trying too hard. And Phoebe's kind of the same way, but they both got the most recognition for their performances. She's actually a little bit older than I thought. Isn't she older than the rest of the cast then? 67. And of course, she always looked better with longer hair, but for some reason, they always forced her to have short hair or something, or she always just happened to. Or that's the most unbelievable thing about Friends is the fact that, you know, someone like Jennifer fucking Aniston would be with someone like Ross, who's this awkward, stuttering clown guy. That's one thing that always broke my suspension of disbelief with the series is like, why would she ever be with him? And like, oh, because she's just a waitress, as he says, or something. And he's like a archaeology professor or whatever, like a paleontologist. But still, it's kind of hard to believe that she would be like a supermodel or like an actress, like she is in real life, because not everybody normally looks like that. Oh yeah, there was some discussion people were having like which is the most accurate comic book Batman, like compare the Batman movie, whatever, with Robert Pattinson or something to whatever the Nolan movies, but I'm not sure that any of them are really that accurate. Or what ends up becoming a problem is the fact that there's too many different comics and versions. Like, what are we really basing it off of, right? They have all these spin-offs and crazy things over time. I know that The Dark Knight was like partly based at least on The Long Halloween, which is one particular comic, but yeah, there's so many different versions that it becomes kind of a farce. Or it gets, like I was saying about Star Wars, like sort of bloated and overdone, where there's like just way too many different series and spin-offs and things where it's not even a question whether they're good or not. It's just at some point it was never meant to go on for that long, and so it starts to feel kind of like everything becomes a bit of a farce, right? There just has to be a new contrived thing that goes on. There's this new villain, there's this new problem, and sort of diminishes everything by contrast, right? Whereas earlier on it might have felt like, oh, everything's really meaningful. Now it feels like everything's just a throwaway because there's just every week there has to be a new, you know, like villain of the week type thing where it's all just there as a product rather than kind of feeling more organic. So like, how many different Batman movies can you have, and how many different you know, comics and versions of it can you really have? Same thing with Star Wars, same thing with a lot of these. Bad signal, Google Easter egg. Urban Dictionary. Why would you need that? It must have some other innuendo sort of meaning. I'm just amazed that this is such a popular category to do. Like, I don't know what people do in it. I guess they place more an emphasis on actually real life stuff, or you know, they're doing a cooking stream, or it's just such a weird thing. Either that or I don't know. It's more face cam focused. It's more cult of personality focused. If you're actually just looking at stuff to react to, it almost makes me just want to rekindle my whole debate format thing overall. But it shows you how hard maybe that can be sometimes. Maybe I didn't even appreciate it myself. Just the fact that Oklahoma City tallest building. I don't know. It takes a certain structure to it. I always like to do things just kind of randomly, like improvisationally. I don't like to plan it out too much. That's why I'm so bad at chess, because I always try to do it, you know, just on the spur of the moment and just on instinct. Marshall Islands Rogue Waves. Princess Peach Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. At least these are like different every time you click off of it, kind of. Jack Reacher. Now, wasn't that some movie with like Tom Cruise in it before? Or yeah, that was a funny line actually. When your movie comparing like the Mummy, the newer Mummy with Tom Cruise in it to the Brendan Fraser one, it's like when you make Brendan Fraser look better than Tom Cruise, you know your movie sucks. That would be obviously shitting on the newer Mummy, because that one, the original was at least fun, or that wasn't even still the original, but whatever. That was at least fun. It kind of knew what it was, so it's like a guilty pleasure type of movie. Whereas the Tom Cruise one just bombed. Not that I've even seen it, but those are some of my favorite movies as a kid that I at least have to acknowledge, even if I, recognize there are flaws with them. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't enjoy them or like could quote like every line from them almost. Like the first Pirates of the Caribbean was like that, or obviously The Mummy, or I think I even like the sequel more than that. There were just certain movies that I loved like that. And even in hindsight, they're still pretty good. Like the original first Pirates of the Caribbean is like fun. It just knows what it wants to be. There are a lot of fun little game theory moments and ideas and stuff. And again, this is a good example of the whole retconning or bloat issue. It's like when Barbossa dies at the end, that's a pretty epic moment, and Will Turner, whatever, puts his blood on the coin, and it's like it's this really cool thing, and then it's diminished by the fact that he just comes back, and like so it doesn't mean anything then. That's always such a mistake. It's one thing if you want to carry the series on, but then you just bring back a major character that was supposed to be dead, or like Darth Maul supposedly comes back. That's kind of a funny parallel you could make. Somehow Palpatine returns in the Disney sequels and everybody loses their mind. But also Darth Maul returned. Somehow Darth Maul returned in some other series. I don't even know. Right? I haven't seen anything besides the first 6 movies. But he gets chopped in half and he falls down a shaft. Very similar to how, Palpatine falls down whatever shaft Vader throws him down and just blows up somehow. But the same thing being that, Darth Maul returned from that somehow and people don't care. So why were they so pissed about the Palpatine one? It seems almost like the same thing. Both kind of retcon bullshit things that you didn't need to do and diminishes the whole plot line and story of those movies. And what else? This is kind of hard to do when you don't have any like sort of structure or base to go off of, or it's kind of better if you're a bigger streamer because then you have like at least chat to go on. They'll be giving you your ideas or at least subjects or things to react to. Let me check out the trending thing once more. United States, everybody's obsessed with the fucking Lakers. 2023, don't even care. Or this was more like I was looking at like last time, stuff to do with, what do you call it? Like what's the most popular thing? Or not that. I can't remember how you say it. Like how popular a particular search term was, right, over time. Republican primary, everybody kind of got clowned. But see, the reason why people do that, I guess, is to give them credibility later. Like Ron DeSantis goes in and he probably knew he wasn't going to win, but then it'll make him look better next time. Like, oh, look how he put on that good run that last time. So now he seems like a more credible candidate or something. Or you could just be like Joe Biden the clown. But even he ran in like 2016, right? And then he obviously won in 2020. What am I just chatting about right now? Can you hear me? I'm guessing not. Not really politics, but I was just kind of going on all kinds of random tangents. What's trending now? Can you give me something fucking besides sports, though, for fuck's sake? Oh, okay, so as my second category here, I'm actually going to play chess, even though I just did yesterday, and so that's kind of a weird choice, but I mainly just want to try to get to 1400, and I was kind of pissed that I wasn't able to do that over the last couple of weeks, because whatever, like, I just don't play for long enough, and it's just hard to get in a rhythm that way. Although you should look at it like every individual game you're playing is its own thing, so it can help you to play for shorter periods of time, too, so you don't get burned out or whatever, but this is, I guess, just a good way to show that, like, for the whatever Wednesday format, it's like you can use it to catch up on stuff that you would normally do on different days. But normally I try to stay away from stuff I'm doing on other days. Like I could do Season of Discovery or something like that as like a little bonus series. That doesn't mean I'll do this like every time, but what a great way to fucking simply there. It's like, What a great way to just ruin the reintroduction of the format. It's like my first episode I do just chatting, and my second one I do just chatting and chess. And chess, in a way, it like both kind of throw away just garbage formats. But that I'm sort of both doing ironically, but I guess I can't say that with chess because I've just done it so much over time. But like with this, some people would have even treated chess like it is just chatting, and it basically is. Like certain other streamers would have actually used that and caused like some sort of drama. They're like, oh, they're meant to do it in chess, but they're not, or they should. Look at all these high-rated players. This guy's actually incredible. 23, 2400. I catch one of your streams. Oh yeah, my rapid rating is now 2100. That's actually insane. Okay, let's try to get to a mere 1400. His level of growth was actually insane, though. Simply, like, he went up to 1900 in the amount of time it took me to whatever. Not like I've made any good progress at all, but I taught him everything I know. So I'd have to win like 3 games. You might say, oh, you shouldn't care about rating, but like at least I want to get stuck at a rating that I haven't been to before. Even if it's on here, like, you know, it should be 1550, something like that, which I just was not too long ago. So it's kind of a bad move to move the queen there that early, for the simple fact that it's not the sort of thing you shouldn't really move the queen early, is the point. Just in general, which is kind of a hard thing to learn, and it's something I always used to do a lot, just with the respect to, you know, you would always just feel like, oh, it's the strongest piece, so you should just do it. But that kind of is a good symbolism for chess overall, that you got to hold everything back, right? Because you know it's either not going to work, or you got to save the best for last. So it is the strongest piece, but you can't worry about it because, oh, that could have been really good actually if you, or no, I guess not, because if the thing wasn't there, then you could have just gone back, right? But here you'd be like attacking that into the fork position. This is kind of awkward because I'd like to do that, but I can't figure out how to do it. So maybe you go here, you take. It still doesn't work, so you could go here. Like a lot of commitment to just trying to get this here. What's gonna get annoying with chess, with how much I've done it, is the fact that I'm not going to be able to see. Wouldn't it work now? So like I do this on purpose to bait him to take it, then I would take it, then I attack this. No, but then the knight's gone, so then he can go back. Okay, let's focus. Now I can't even do that to get rid of this. All you're trying to do is open this so that the bishop can actually come out and be developed going towards the king side. So he would take, I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take. So, or no, I wouldn't take. I need something more there, but I can't figure it out. Or maybe this is a good opportunity to actually use the bishop itself. I'm just treating it like a lofty benefactor from that sequence, but there's nowhere I can actually even move this. So now you could do it, but now he's probably going to change his whole structure. Whenever they make a weird move like this, I don't really get it, because you don't want him to keep going. Although he wouldn't have cover, but you know, you don't want him to take, but you also don't want to take and fuck up your own pawns. It's like, it's very unclear sometimes what you're even trying to do. Like, I can guarantee you that's not the right move, right? You rarely ever want to see these horizontally stacked pawn structures. These are almost as bad sometimes as vertically stacking them. The only difference is, I guess, you can easily change it at will, but I can pretty much guarantee that's not good what he did. If I go here, he could take, I could take, but I don't see how that helps me. I wanted to do this, so he would take, I would take, he would take. He could already take there, that was the problem. Yeah, this is kind of a waste of a format. The whole point of this is to do different things that I don't normally do. Then I end up doing this anyway just because I'm pissed about my lack of performance. But that's where chess has ruined a lot of my streams, where I just kind of, you know, I'll do it for 12 hours or I'll do it for crazy amounts of time just to make up for how insanely time consuming it is. I don't know what to even do. He would go there. I would take. He would take. Then he'd be attacking that. Like, I just don't get this position at all. You start to just do random things, or you start to just do, like, desperate things, or you're just trying to make stuff happen. Not even that you think it's good. I could have gone there. I guess tried to double attack there. Position looks really solid, but I don't get what he's exactly doing with it. He has like this block bishop pair going on. Now you could go like that, but then it begs the question as far as what you do with the light square bishop. It's in a terrible spot. So somehow, some way later on it'll become useful. But if you were going to play it like this and you had that much foresight, which of course I don't, you should have already traded off the light square bishop even for a knight, because now it's going to be even more useless than a knight, and I never thought I'd say that. We did all this to get this fucker here, so you can be damn sure I'm going to do that. Now, perceptibly, there's nowhere the knight can actually go. This is a very closed pawn sort of position where the knights are actually going to be better than the bishops, probably, for a while. But that's a principle you could always use in chess, is like the endgame is always going to be an open position because you're going to trade everything off. So no matter how much you value it here, it's like that's cute, but I mean, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Now, you wouldn't be able to use this to take anything, or I take the queen, but the thing is, I can't really do anything with it anyway. This is still blocking the one bishop. If you take, I take. If you take, I still take. You blocked both my diagonals successfully, but I think I could still make use of the dark square bishop some other way. But yeah, this one is a total bust. So it's like I'm -3, even though I'm not. Unless I can somehow do the same to his. So I can fork him here if he lets me. And so therefore you wait, oh, you know, if you... It doesn't say I'm streaming here, because if you start the stream in the middle, like if you change category and then put the lit chess thing, it doesn't work. But if you start the stream with it, I guess it does. I don't know. You wouldn't want to do this because you open up the one diagonal, but either way, you're going to give him something. You could put this here, and then you actually have an octopus knight, for the simple fact that you can't actually push it out with this, because I could end Pizan. The only problem is it doesn't have like a reliable proper cover, because the knight, or I mean the rook, is there. You can put it here, and that's the whole beauty of it. You can't actually do anything with this. You're going to put it behind there and try to do like the little yo-yo, but the problem is your yo-yo thing would go off the board. So you would put it here, and then I'd check, but then you can't bring the queen in behind it because you are kind of in the wrong order. This creates a weird dynamic, but this is a good, you know, advanced pawn towards the king, which is sometimes very confusing to figure out how to use or how to benefit from. But especially for us low-rated, offensively challenged players like me. So I see that, but I don't see what it really does. You move the thing here, and then there's nothing you can do with it. You know, I'd love to see what he does about this, because it's a simple case of how do you even do anything? If you go here, I can end Pizan. If you go there, I can take it. I can just take it. If only the queen had the end Pizan function too. Like, if you go here, I do this. And that's still very dangerous, because now you have a passed pawn right in his face, which I probably wouldn't be able to protect in the long run, but it's still just awkward. This is one of the best uses of a pawn pushed towards the king that I've ever seen in this kind of a seemingly closed and awkward position. Right, normally these just kind of sit here, or they just trade in some suboptimal way. So you have this covering there, so I couldn't take there, but I couldn't have done it anyway. So your normal moves will not work here. You do the en passant, so it's not only a free pawn, but it's in a very dangerous spot. And in a way, it's almost a good thing if he was to take it, because then you're setting up for probably what's going to be a mate. And you have this attack as well. But that doesn't scare me at all. There's really nothing you can do with it. I fear the light square bishop a little more, actually. You should be able to take this, then he would take, I would take, he would still take. If I go here, you're kind of putting yourself in a weird spot. I don't know. It's too bad both of my bishops are completely fucking useless. I guess I could try to incorporate the one of them here. I'm not really sure. Yeah, that bishop attack was pointless. It looks like we're in a good spot, but because of my poor development of the bishops and their fucking diagonals, I do feel like it's a bit of a problem. What you can do is you can take there. Now, if he tries to protect it, that's a whole nother story. I don't actually know what that one does. It'll eventually end up opening the file of the light square bishop, but now his thing's not really in position to do that either. He moves that, and so I don't know. My own pawn is like fucking in the way. All I would have to do is just get rid of it. This looks like a strong position, but he does that. Okay, fine. I would take, it might be even worth it now to sack something, but I would take, he would take, I would take, he would still take. What if I double stack these, I guess? See, look how slowly I'm doing this, though. This is what I don't like. Like, why is this so hard to do? I don't know. Or like you just start to get lazy or something at some point. Look how your own pawn just fucks the whole thing up. Like, I could go here, but I don't see the meaning behind it because it's just... You're not really going to be able to do anything with it. I would take... He would take... I would take... He would take... I would take... But it's still not going to happen. He can just go back. Or no, he can't go back. Yeah, look at how MVP this pawn was, though, actually. He brings that, which is just annoying. I would love to trade the... Never thought I would say it. I would love to trade the bishop for it, but I can't because... Whatever. Because I'm just stupid and I allow this to get completely trapped in there. Because even when you do something bad, it's so obviously bad that, you know, it's your own fault, which everything in chess is your fault all the time. Because you start in the same even position every time, except if you go black first. If you go second, I mean. If you go black first is like an oxymoron. I'd like to double stack that. If he moves it, it's not really so bad for him. In fact, it could be good for him because he could open his light square diagonal to my king and that could be a problem. There's no way you should lose this, but I can't figure out exactly how to use it. I could just ignore it, which is almost my inclination to do. Because I would have the queen cover there too. You would take, I would take, but then I would still be able to take back. So if you just let me do this finally, You can't actually take, or you could feel like you could unleash to take the queen, but you really can't. It would just be a trade. So I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take. But isn't that bad? Because you're giving up a rook, I think. Let me see. I would take and check, so he has to take. I would take, he would take, I would take. So I would have took a pawn and a bishop. He would have took a knight and a rook. So that's not even good, and he's not even letting me do it, for fuck's sake. Man, I've had enough of this. So he could move it, and then he could quite possibly take this as a result. These are the positions that really piss me off. It's like, but this is what chess is all about. Like these weird half-ass things that just like, you just have to be able to finish it. Okay. Oh, well, obviously, as I just said, though, that this would be a problem because... Like, now we'll trade the queen, which is not good, and it ruins my whole thing, but I obviously wasn't going anywhere with that attack anyway. It would be very beneficial for him to take because I'm in the more aggressive position. But he's still going to be too dumb to do it, I guess. So I could easily just take this. He would take, I would take... If he takes this first, I could just take, I could just take. Gotta worry about time, which I hate that it comes down to this at this level, but it can't be helped. You still can't take that, or you could easily take it, so I don't care. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I just had no idea how to take advantage of. Like, this is really what frustrates. At least give me a draw out of it, which is why I have to be fast, I guess. He would take, I would take. I could take with that. He could take, I could save this. Shouldn't I just be able to do that? Like, I don't understand this game anymore. He would take, I would do this. I can't figure it out. The point is, I go here, he would take, I would take, and then he can't do anything, so I could have already done it. At some point, you just get frustrated, man. Like, just forget it. Just fucking forget it. Fuck the stupid pawn. Fuck everything. You're not gonna win. I could have probably took the thing there too. The knight. It's so irritating, man. And this is my specialty too in game, so it's like me getting my karma back. Like where you're always in a winning position, but you can't take advantage of it because you're just a dumb clown like me. It's like I don't even deserve it, but it's gonna come down to time either way. He double stacks it. It doesn't really matter that much. Or that could have been bad maybe if he went there. I don't know. I mean, I could just do it this way. Like, I don't care. You want to get a draw? Like, I'm +4, but I can't figure out how to do anything with it, so... I don't know what to tell you. If I try to do anything else, it'll just fuck up. That's the thing. He takes, I take. It just feels bad not to play for a win, but this is the big lesson I had to learn back in the day. Like, when you start playing for draws, you do a lot better, because then at least you don't lose needlessly. So the extra knight should make a fine addition here to You know, you got the one pass pawn. I got the two over here. But again, it's going to take literally a fucking century to actually do anything with this, so I just can't. And he's not even attacking anything. You try to do that and then raise the thing. Isn't that fun that it comes down to time, though? Isn't that just great? You would think you should be able to use these to basically try to promote, but I don't know. Like, how's he even gonna get to it is the thing. Like, at this point, I could even sack for it effectively. Or whatever. Alright, alright. I don't care. As long as you don't just mate me right there, but you probably will. Like, I don't care, man. Okay, he times out. So instructive, so good. Like, you can do everything wrong. You can do everything right and still lose. Or you can do everything wrong and still win. Or you can do either or both and you still draw. It'll still take 2 games at least. Like, that is such a frustrating game for both of us because there's nothing in that makes you feel like it was a game. It was like some sort of a half-conscious, like, lucid experience where nobody is learning, nobody is doing anything right, wrong. It's just meaningless. You knew it was going to be like that because that's what chess is all about at whatever level you play it. All these little minor things you think like, oh, you could learn something from it. You can't because, like, how do you turn this into an attack? You do the en passant, and then what is this fucking bullshit sequence that I have to do to actually take advantage of this? Because it's impossible. You raise it. Or no, it's just showing me what I did. That's a blunder. So what? Oh, fuck. Well, whatever it was, I don't know. That's just an irritating game. At least that kind of game, though, you should learn something from, to be honest with you, because it's just, this is the whole irony of the GTA game scores, because it's like, this is the only score that they actually made for the ones before. It was like the title music or like the map. Damn, he's actually 2K. He's celebrating these 2100 on there, but how is he only 2000 on here? I guess he probably doesn't use it as much. That is actually legit, dude. Yeah, let's see where Andre is by comparison. Because he was a tryhard too, but he's nowhere near that. Or he's like 1700, kind of provisional. I feel like everybody probably just plays more on chess.com though. But Simply is a very impressive student of mine, I guess you could say. I mean, obviously this rating doesn't reflect what I'm at. That's why I just want to push it a little bit further, but holy shit, this has been annoying. Let me actually look at that a little bit more as we basically just take a break from that disgrace of a game that I don't deserve at all. Like, even if you say that's a win, I don't consider it a win. I just consider that to be fucking annoying as hell. Okay, at this point, what do you do to take advantage of it? It was like +4. Like, when you first go there, you're plus 4.9. So what on earth do you do here? You go there to try to bring the rook in, I guess. Like, what was the first move, though? You move the bishop there, which I don't really get, even why you would do that. It really wants you to go there. That's a blunder because... And see, I even said that. It's not like, oh boy, I don't know, I blundered my queen. It's the fact that you fucking... I even said that because I said, you know, you're in the attacking position, so obviously you don't want to give up your queen, but I couldn't materialize the attack, so I got so frustrated that I just did it. We made maybe a few more blunders than what I expected. It's a blunder to take what is effectively a free knight. A lot of these blunders are basically just me taking a winning position and not even turning it into a losing position. He was apparently winning there. Or no, he was obviously winning there because we just saw what happened, but It's not even that he couldn't figure that's really the insult of this, isn't it? It's not that he couldn't figure out what to do, it's that he couldn't figure out what to do quick enough. So that's really what matters here. So I'm 0.5 seconds faster than somebody, like that really matters. Okay, this guy actually might give me 10 though, because he's 1400. To be the man, you gotta beat the man, the old expression. Like, to get to 17, you gotta beat a 17. So to get to, in classical, so to get to 14, you gotta beat a 14. That's only fair enough. But he's gonna abort because he's scared of me. Or no, now it updated to say that I'm streaming. So everybody will fear me, like, oh, I'm doing a speed run, even though it's not even like allowed on this site. And in a manner of speaking, you could still say I am doing it. Speed run back to where I originally was, because I'm still a 1500 clown or something at least. But Hammett Carlson, oh, he's even higher. Why would a 1472 be afraid of a 1390? This would be a very suitable opponent to beat. Or even if we draw, I'm fine with that. That's what you have to get back in the mindset of doing. Play for a draw every time, because that's just how chess works. You should do that no matter who you are, Gary Kasparov. Whether you're Magnus or the person challenging Magnus. This could get a little bit ugly, actually. He's going to clown me in the opening. It's actually fine, though, because now we have a position where... Okay. Now, this becomes a little irritating with the knight. Oh, my God. He takes, I take. He can't take. He's attacking into there. He goes there. I'm not entirely sure if that went exactly how he wanted, but it could be a little difficult to stay on there, but I guess not really. You go back. You go back. I mean, I could be a bit of a troll clown about it. It's certainly giving me a bit of free pawn development. Are we gonna actually trap the queen in the corner? But more to the point, you're just trying to take that fucking thing. So an easy move could be like that. So if I took... But you can't even do that because... He would take, I would take... He can't take, or he could take... You shouldn't get too greedy over one little thing like that, but at least now we get this. Because, but then he could pin it down, and that could be potentially bad. Let's just cancel and get it over with first. You just have to be weary of those things. Like, you have something free, but it leaves your king kind of in a bad spot. You could do this for the double attack. You just got to remember what's going on with the thing. That his queen is in kind of a weird spot that I kind of am just leaving it there. Like, what if I was to do, let's say this, so then take, he can't take. And this is still in line with that, but it's kind of like... Actually okay, I guess. I would take, I wouldn't be able to take. You can't move that one, but I can't really see how exactly I would take advantage of it. This is covered by that, so I don't really need it there. This kind of discourages him from moving the other rook, which also means that it's stuck in place next to the thing, next to the basically in line with the bishop, in the diagonal with the bishop. So that kind of makes me sad, actually, though, that everybody leapfrogged me that hard, at least simply as a gifted player. It seems like no matter how much he's studied, no matter how much he's played, that's still impressive what he's done there. Getting from basically my rating or below my rating in like a year, 2 years, in the same amount of time that I've been back streaming, playing chess, whatever. it's basically he's able to get to 2,000. There's a cheeky little thing you can do here, but it's not really worth it because I'll still do it though. I am the master of cheeky if nothing else. Nothing's really happening with this position still. You raise, I take. That just wasn't a good move, I guess, because if you get him to do this, it could be good. If I go here and you raise, I could take, you could take, and then I can't really do anything about it. This diagonal seems pretty strong with the darks for bishop, but I can't figure out exactly how to do it. Here he could just raise it, so that's not even worth doing. If he takes, I take. I'd like to do that, but I really can't. So that move is just weird. He'll raise it, and then I can't do anything good about it because the most confusing moves are sometimes it's not even like, oh, you're under threat, but it's like you're looking for something that's not there. This just seems like a bad move. He would go there. I just can't do it. That seems like a dumb move too, but at least now we can go there, I guess, and then pin it down to that, assuming he moves the pawn. Really, a 1470 would not fall for such things. If I don't take it, could be trouble. If I do take it, could be trouble. If he trades the queens, I'm fine with it. Again, a lot of these moves where you trade stuff are probably not the right thing to do. But I guess it's just my tendency, I guess, my nature. So if he took here, I could go here. And then he could still take, though. Something about that seems a little bit cute, so I'll still do it. He'll take, then I'll unleash. Then he'll take, then I'll take, but I still can't take because he can do it first. So he must take. This is kind of good. If I take here, he can't take with that because then I take. So he takes with this. He must open the king. And then he must deal with this. The fact that I... And then even if he comes here, I can still take. And then he still can't take this. He's way up on time, but I still have to just keep playing well. It doesn't actually mean that I can do anything with this because I would have to... I would take, he would take... I could try to create a double stack. And the fact is he can't take this either because of the simple fact that he can't even move that, because if he moves it, then I could just take. Right, if he moves it, I would take, he would take, I would still take. You should almost take with this first, because even if it seems like this is better, this could get pinned down in such a way that then if you move it, it could be trouble. But then again, you could move it into a position where it actually covers it too. So you got to double stack it. You're not worried about this, although you kind of are, but then you go like this. You don't even need the double thing. Right, you can do it right now, but he wouldn't take it. It should always be so much easier to calculate the knight, but it's just awkward. It's not even like it's hard or anything. It's just like, it's not intuitive. It's not how the human mind like works or anything. So if he moves the knight, I take the rook. If you move the rook, now this is cute, but then there's going to be a problem because you're going to raise this, and if you raise this, I take. Wait. As far as I can tell, if you raise this, I just take. Or if you take this, I just take. So in either scenario, it should be good. And you saw how stupidly I seemed to open this to his queen's diagonal. But the reason why I didn't fear it, maybe wrongfully so still, is because he didn't have the diagonal at all. What you could do is you could do this. And therefore, there's nothing he can do about it. And then I should be able to take, like, I would take, he would take. I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take. I'll still deal with this because I'm somehow scared of the bishop or whatever being pinned down, even though he doesn't seem to be able to do anything with it. He would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take. Or see, like, even here is the point. I wouldn't be able to go back to cover it. So even though it seems dumb, okay, he doesn't even have the balls to do it. He's threatening this, which I'm threatening 2 pawns, so I should be good in that scenario no matter what. It's some of these pawn raises and weird things like this that kind of confuse me sometimes. Like, maybe he wants me to take, like, it's hard to say. This double stack actually comes in clutch for me, though, because this is a very odd position for that normally you wouldn't be able to have. You could do this, but then the problem is he raises to there, and then he opens up some sort of back rank possibility on me. This is very hard to say whether I want to do that or not. Seems like a bad move, but... he brings, like, let's say the check. But the thing about that is, if you give the check, then it's not a mate or anything. Right? It shouldn't really even matter. You give the check, I can easily move. If the king was like 1 step closer, which it can't even get there, it would have to go... yeah, it can't even do that. If it was here, then you could understand how that could happen, but... he doesn't even have the balls to try to go for it, so he just lets it be. Oh shit, oh shit. Almost like he's watching my stream or something, but you're not gonna get it, dude. I'm not gonna let you have that. The file is mine, and then we go here, we try to eat these up. Because the thing is, even from here, right, the thing is that you could come back, so it wouldn't even matter. Like, if you give it now, I could just block it. Or isn't this almost like a mate? If you just go like here, then you could take this. If I go here, you could go like there. This is sort of playing dangerously in a way I really don't need to, though. Like, what if we just move this here, then? You can't do anything. Or that could have been dangerous too, just for the simple fact of if he could go there, he could do something with it. He would take, I would take, he can't take. He'll give some kind of useless check. So, okay, I'm way too low on time, though. We shouldn't really be able to do anything with this, though, still. I'm still playing it like too tentatively, but I guess it's okay. Let's just go here, and then we push that. If you want to take, fine. If you don't want to take, fine. It's over. Okay. Push him out. You can't do anything to the bishop. What? In worst case, we'd get a draw, but I'm having a little comprehension issue with what's happening here. You just don't get a fucking stalemate. Let's just go a little bit at a time. That's the problem with the bishop here, is you could almost just sack it because it could create some sort of problem that normally wouldn't exist, so you're not thinking about it. Where a stalemate could indeed occur at this stage, like, it shouldn't matter between these two squares, right? Please give me at least 10, because I'm not in the mood to be doing this shit. Oh, perfect 10, so I'm not even going to play. That's it. I don't know why I did that, but this kind of shows you I can use this format to ruin it twice over and catch up on this, in addition to doing just chatting type of random stuff. We get to a mighty sacred 1400, and let me actually see maybe Simply's thing on chess.com, or you know what, I'm banished from chess.com, so I shouldn't even be able to look at it, but he's 2000 on here at least, so that's kind of a big deal. And for as far as I can tell, it's not really provisional or anything. 93%, 15 centipon, even if it's like you know, padded a little bit. Like, look at what I had to do to beat a 1400. Like, sure, you could say it's relative, but I don't understand. How is it even that high? That was a pretty creative, awesome thing at the end to win the night. Whether it was guaranteed to happen or not, I can't say, but it's pretty good nonetheless. This is the right way to play, though. Like, I played 2 good, sharp games on a day when I don't even normally play, and then I don't feel too burnt out by it. The problem is, I normally don't have even this little bit of extra time. He was never winning by a substantial amount, so that was a pretty clear... I mean, that looks fucking crazy, dude. The blunder was going here. What should I have done instead? I should have done this, which I don't really understand. But see, I don't mind these kind of blunders, because it's a blunder where you go from winning to not winning as much, right? You don't go from not winning to, like, you go from even to losing, or you go from winning to losing. You're still winning in both cases, right? So it's just that you're missing something better that you could have done. But it's definitely a different kind of blunder than... It's not like you're just you know, making an objective mistake, like, oh, I'm hanging the queen or something like that. So it's still good to learn from, but yeah, let's see how many games he's actually played in this, like, to get to that 2000 point. He has played 532 games. I definitely can't question that. I'm higher than him in classical, though. Haha. Not that he seems to play it that much, though, but over 104 games still. 4 days spent playing, which is not really that much on here, but I'm sure he's played a lot more either in real life or but he hasn't played in so long. 4 months. Like, let's look at what one of these games actually looks like. Like, see, isn't this always what a high-level game will look like? Like, it'll be even all the way, and then it'll even be even at the end, because it's gonna be a draw 100% of the time. Like, are they really doing anything that's that incomprehensible to me? But see, that's the sign of a good player right there, that move. Anybody at my rating, including myself, would have taken there. And I hate that I say that, even though I know. No, but even that's supposedly the right move. Even though no, you won't lose the castle. Never mind. But it's just like holding stuff in position for long. No, but I guess it's not. Why would you offer that up? You know, this is like what I would do, but he doesn't do it. And actually, that makes even less sense because simply is the offensive type. So why would he want to trade the queen? Even though he ends up winning, he's a very aggressive type of player. But I guess by now, you can't really say that. He probably just does whatever, you know. He likes to play aggressively, but it doesn't mean that... It doesn't mean that that's all he can do. He can obviously do a lot of other things. He actually ends up losing. So I guess maybe my prognostication is correct that he shouldn't have traded queens. Understanding risk. But yeah, it's those little in-between things where, like, you're not winning or losing because of it. Or no, you could be winning because of it. But it's like looking that extra mile. Like, it's easy to get satisfied. Like, you're up +1 pawn or you're up a piece. And then you stop looking for stuff. Even though you still probably win that game or whatever, what you got to learn is you got to look above and beyond. Like, I want to look for something crazy where I just really take the game over, or, you know, you see so often where I miss that, or a lot of people miss that, where they're in a decent position, they're winning by maybe a little bit, and they can really put it over the top, but then they don't because they just stop looking, or they feel sort of satisfied, or they get complacent. Yeah, this will be confusing for my chess series, I guess, because I'll consider this part of the Wednesday format. So it'll be like, how did you magically get from 1380 to 14? But I like that we at least got some result from it. So I was just kind of pissed at that because, like, the last couple of chess episodes, I've been saying, I just want to get to 14. I just want to get to 14. And it's like, it shouldn't have taken me that long. And this actually looks a lot worse than what it is, but a lot of these are just against viewers, some of whom are like 2,000 plus and stuff, right? So that doesn't really count. I'm sure just in the pure rated games, or even some of those might have been rated for whatever reason, but I'm sure in these, it's much more even because you wouldn't have even gotten this far otherwise. Like, let's look at my overall growth in rapid. You start off... I don't know how it's like that. How do you start off at 13? I guess once it starts getting you out of the provisional thing, we fall as low as 11. We go as high as like 1559, 1541, but according to this, 1559. Current streak 2 games. So I mean, we just want to gradually work my way back up to 15, but it can just be very exhausting and time consuming and kind of annoying. I feel like I've played more on here than Simply has, and he's 2,000, but clearly he must know openings and stuff like that, like the back of his hand. That goes without saying. Okay, see you tomorrow.